This is the MLW Radio Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE superstar and ECW original, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I am your tour guide, Josh Shernoff, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, what's on your mind?
I am stuffed. I am full of Christmas turkey, Christmas ham, Christmas dessert. Yeah, I am so full. I'm still wearing the same clothes as last week.
It was such an exciting Christmas. We didn't even change our clothes.
We didn't even change our clothes. Still wearing my madcatbeardcare.com.
And why shouldn't you?
Yeah, it goes to a good cause.
Yeah.
Go to madcatbeardcare.com. Use promo code Meanie. Get the blue spruce.
Do it.
But yeah. Christmas was awesome. I hope.
I remember
as we are totally not pre-recording this pre-Christmas. So as I remember from couple days ahead of me, it was great. It was good. Good Christmas.
Good Christmas. We hope all of you listening had a good Christmas as well.
Seriously, I hope you all had a great holiday. I hope you did not hog the nog too much, because eggnog farts are the worst.
But if you want to hog your nog, go right now to manscaped.com. Promo code Meanie20. We'll just get that in there quickly.
Unhog your nog.
Unhog your nog, yeah. When it's being hogged by all those
Unnog your hog.
What the Oh, man.
Off to a stellar start.
Yes, we are. But hey, why don't we start?
We're here with the Pod Squad, just hanging out.
We are, and we appreciate the Pod Squad being here. This is episode 92, and the final episode of 2021. Man, this year flew. This year flew by.
Dude, it's like I said, yesterday it was August, and I was sitting in my backyard and just, watching Mrs. Meanie juggle, or, just, preparing to go to Alaska, and then, hey, it's Christmas.
Yep.
Thanksgiving, Halloween flew by, Thanksgiving flew by,
Yeah.
We celebrate Halloween as a holiday. I don't care.
It's a religious holiday in your household.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Big deal.
Big deal. But yeah, fuck. It's Christmas, and then we got New Year's this week, and then between New Year's, the day after New Year's, up until St. Patrick's Day is complete dog shit of a year.
Yep.
Part of the year. Yep. It's the fucking Delaware of months.
December 31st is magical. It's just magical.
Yeah.
And January 1st is utter garbage.
That's when the gray clouds come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what
like,
was white beautiful snow the day before is now brown and black and yellow and terrible.
Yeah.
Red, depending on where you live. It's man. I love this time. My daughter was joking with one of her friends. They were like playing this little game where they're like, we have a time machine and we're going to make tomorrow Christmas. This is I guess as you're hearing this was like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, I said to her, I said, that sounds really cool, but this is the best time of year, this season, the holiday season. I said, and once you get to Christmas, it already drops And then New Year's, then it's just cold. So let's not do that, you know?
Cold, bitter, windy, just
Yeah.
they're fucking kicking the balls.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's home where we live. It's cold, and that's okay. James Sorensen says a couple highlights of my year. Thanks, James. He didn't even wait for us to ask. A couple of highlights of my year was being on the show, meeting Eric Bischoff in Cody, Wyoming, and Top Guy Weekend with Josh. Well, you know what, man? That was one of my highlights as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Meanie, we had kind of talked before about, we announced to our pod squad that we had a big announcement.
Yes.
And I said to you, I was like, well, maybe we'll save it to the end of the show. But I'll tell you, I kind of feel like I want to get off my chest now. And
I'll unbutton your shirt. And,
yeah. Because it got a little emotional for me to do that intro. For mine and the Meanie. So the announcement that we were talking about is that today's episode will be my last episode as the tour guide into the mind of the Meanie. I think you can tell by Meanie and my rapport that this was not from a falling out or any heat.
No.
No. And so I wanted to. So the last episode that we recorded, which, Inside Baseball, we recorded a few minutes before we started recording this one because of the holidays. I got a phone call and had to remove myself for a moment to take that call. And that kind of is a perfect example of what's going on. I am not at the point of this recording able to go into full detail, but long story short, I have, as you've all seen, I have gotten busier and busier and busier with my responsibilities with Fight. They have increased my responsibilities. That's the stuff that I can't go into detail just yet. But as you know, this is something we've kind of known was going to happen for a while. And it was why I originally brought Adam Bernard on board. It was to test out a potential replacement if I had to leave. And the reason I have to leave is because, I can't just do this show whenever, I want. I can't just be like, it's 3 a.m. and now I have a minute to do it. So I can, Meanie and I have to work around each other's schedules. Meanie is not just sitting around with nothing to do either. He's a busy guy. But it's the mind of the Meanie. And if we're going to work around somebody's schedule, we should be working around Meanie's schedule. And I don't really have anything planned out of what to say, so bear with me as I, try to navigate through this. With the additional responsibilities and the travel and whatnot, my responsibilities on the show have been more than just the tour guide into the mind of the Meanie. I've done the editing. I've run the Patreon. I've run the YouTube, run the social media. And I've loved every second of it, but I am just out of time in the day. I have, a wife who wants me to meet our kids, at some point, just pop in and say hello. And, Meanie and I went back and forth for a while, but it was, you guys have asked for things, when are you doing a live show? When are you guys going to do things like that? And honestly, I'm just not able to do that with the other responsibilities I have. And the other responsibilities, I have become so unbelievably fortunate that those other responsibilities with Fight have reached a point where they pay my bills now. And that is something that I never thought was going to happen. because when you get into this business and you're grabbing an interview here, an interview there, and you're just, happy to be here, to have an opportunity to really be able to support my family off of this, off of doing what I love in an industry that I dreamt of my whole life being able to make a living in. It's a dream come true. Unfortunately, it has to become the top priority for me as far as scheduling. So that is the big announcement. This will be my last one. Adam Bernard will be taking over full-time hosting the show, because that was another really important thing to me, was to not leave Meanie high and dry. And full disclosure, Meanie has known about this for a couple months, I want to say, at this point.
Yeah.
So this has not been I didn't spring it on him, but no. I didn't go full heel. But it was very, very important to me that there be that my leaving, because of the responsibilities of things that I did, that we found someone who not only could host with Meanie, that Meanie could enjoy his time with, that you, the Pod Squad, would enjoy listening to, but somebody that was willing to and able to take over the other responsibilities as well. And Adam is up for the task. And actually 2 episodes ago, he edited the episode entirely on his own. And he's already sent me some other stuff that he's been working on to kind of change the feel a little bit of the the outro of the show and stuff. And I don't know what he's going to do with the intro, but as I told him, I said, man, make it your own, have fun with it. I've been able to, I don't know my exact show count number because Adam sat in for a bunch of them, but this is our 92nd episode. And I am incredibly proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And the thing I am most proud of is the community that we were able to build with the Pod Squad and the Patreon members. It is, James Sorensen talked about it, one of his highlights of the year was Top Guy Weekend with me. That was one of my highlights as well. It really, truly was. And, this year, I'm not articulating well, but the last couple of years since we started this show, we had no idea when we decided to do this, when Meanie asked me, hey, what would you think about doing a podcast? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Blue Meanie's asking me to do a podcast with him. This is crazy. We had no idea what was to come. We didn't know that a pandemic was about to start.
Right.
And man, Meanie, we've talked about it a bunch of times on the show here. It was a blessing and a curse, because in some ways, I don't know that the show would have lasted without that pandemic, because I think, we would have been going to the studio, or we would have it would have just been too much work to get off the ground. And I think timing worked out for us in a way that we were home with nothing to do. We had a bunch of people who were home with nothing to do but listen to us. And we were able to take advantage of that opportunity. And the thing that I'm most grateful for was any little part that I got to play. And it sounds so insincere, but I mean it legitimately. Any part that I got to play in those messages that we would get of people going, hey, I was in the hospital and I listened to your show and that helped me get through this. And, or even just, hey, I was on a long car ride or anything, or even just I'm at work or I'm sitting here or I just enjoy listening to it, because we all had a really shitty couple of years. Those of us who had great years, those great years were still shitty compared to our regular years. It was bad. And I had the opportunity, and I don't want to ramble on for too much longer here, because it still is the mind of the Meanie. I think people want to listen to Meanie. I had when this show started, I had 2 kids and I had 2 living grandparents. I now have 3 kids and lost both my grandparents during this time. And not only was it really cool to be able to celebrate the good stuff with the Pod Squad and with Meanie, but when you guys say things like, man, this, really helped me through, listen to the show, helped me through these difficult times. It helped me through difficult times being able to just come in here and just hang out with Meanie and hang out with all of you. It really helped more than you'll ever know. And it's difficult. It was a difficult decision to leave, but all of you deserve and Meanie deserves a show that can have real legs, that can really take off, because I believe that Meanie has I don't think Meanie has even scratched the surface of the legacy that he's going to be able to leave in the wrestling business. And I think that if this podcast can help do that, I don't want to be the reason that can't happen because of my schedule. Because while I'm out building a career for myself, Meanie doesn't get to continue the career trajectory that I believe he's on with this show because I'm too busy doing something else. So so with that, yeah, so this is, Vanessa says, remember us little people when you were big timing it. I'm not sure how much bigger my time can get, and I don't think you guys are little, because the reality is, and I know that, I get the joke and everything, but the reality of it is I don't see it as me moving on to bigger and better. I see it as me moving on to something that takes up a lot more time. So, they're far more time consuming. But I look at what I have now, the dreams I've been able being able to do this show just with you, Meanie, has been incredible. Yeah. Being able to have action figures, being able to be in a video game, being able to have the wrestling buddies. None of that stuff in my mind happens if I don't connect with you and do this show. And being able to be in that public eye through Mind of the Meanie, I also believe has played a big role in the success that I've been able to have with Fight. So as far as I'm concerned, nothing about this is little people or small time. It's just, unfortunately, the other stuff is far more time consuming. So, but thank you. Thank you, Meanie, I feel like this is how I'm supposed to end the episode, but it was just like a knot in my chest as soon as which is weird. We did a whole episode before this, but as soon as I hit that and knew it was the first time I was hitting the last time I was going to hit that as the tour guide, it was tough. I just wanted to get it out there. But Meanie, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for asking me to do this. It legitimately changed my life. That sounds so like, come on, it's a podcast. You're getting a little overzealous here with that, but it's 100% true. It legitimately changed my life doing this podcast. And I am forever grateful to you. Best part of all of this is being able to create a friendship with you. Honestly, that's the best part of this entire thing. All the people that I got to meet, but working with you has been awesome. Becoming your friend has been that much better. And so I thank you for everything. And I will be back. This is not the last time you will ever see me on Mind of the Meanie. I'll be back. I'm not Bruce Pritchard. I'm not that busy. But I think you're in great hands with Adam, and I think it's exciting because, to me, I know I really wanted to make it to episode 100 was kind of my goal, but the way it just worked with my schedule, I was just like, you know what, let's wrap it at the end of the year. But you know what, this next 100 episodes, 100 plus episodes, this next 92 episodes with Adam, I think they're going to be even bigger. I think they're going to be even better. I think they're going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So just wanted to get that out of the way. We can talk about some other things. We can reminisce about some of our good times. Whatever it is you guys want us to do, we'll do a little Ask Meanie later on in the episode and stuff. But I just wanted to get that out there. I just couldn't save it till the end, or I'd be distracted the entire time. So
hey man, well I'm kind of glad we started off the show with it, just so we have time to talk about it. Because save it for the end of the show, then you feel like you're time constrained. But hey man, it's like, you're getting busy and you could see it coming. But first and foremost, thank you for everything you've done with the podcast. For years, people are like, you need to do a podcast. You need to do a podcast. And I always kind of shied away, and I would flirt with it. I would put up a poll on Twitter. If I did a podcast, would you listen? And, that kind of thing, just to feel it out. Because if you're going to do something, you kind of have to be dedicated to it, and I was willing to put the dedication, but it's just like I said, anytime you're in business, whatever you do, or whoever you work with is a representation of you. Just like, Al Snow broke me in the wrestling business. I was a representative of Al Snow, and vice versa. So I was like, man, if I go to do a podcast, it's got to be with somebody I know won't embarrass me, or somebody I could trust not to, go off on a tangent where then people go, Meanie, what's up with your guy here? The host of the Mind and the Meanie, or Blue Meanie co-host goes off the rails kind of thing, It's like, that's the kind of shit that scared me and kept me away from it. I would see just people or part of the podcast just going, go on tirade, or not tirades, but start saying stuff on social media. I was like, man, hope the guy you're doing the podcast with doesn't mind you saying that, Mm-hmm. So it's like, not that you want to control anybody, but you want to kind of just be on the same page. So like, we had done, we were at the, me and you were always crossing paths with Bill. And then, you did you were doing that interview show for Fight on the ropes.
On the ropes, yeah.
And it was that in that moment, you, and did the segment. And there was a moment after the interview. You're like, hey man, I asked you a question. I hope that wasn't a little too stiff. I was like, no, but just the fact that you said, hey, that question was a little bit too harsh, was it? Kind of put it. I was like, man, that was thoughtful. That was that was great of somebody to ask that. That wasn't too bad, was it? So in the back of my mind, I started flirting with the idea of doing a podcast again. I had bought equipment a long time ago, thinking I was going to do one, and just sat there. The equipment just sat there. And then, I'm driving home one night, and I was like, fuck, the idea was there. I was like, dude, that kid Josh, with Bill, he's doing stuff with Fight, and he was really considerate, that time. He'd probably be a good guy, and he's local, so, we have that, common bond where we can talk about stuff locally, I don't know what it would be, but, and then we started, I DM'd you. I was like, hey, you want to do a podcast? And you're like, what do you want about? I want it to be about everything. I don't want to paint myself into a corner. You see these guys just reviewing, here's Blue Meanie's review of NXT. It's like, everybody does that. Mm-hmm. What can you do to, set yourself apart where you're not just doing the same thing as everybody else and just being a copycat? Wrestling's a copycat league, just like the NFL, like other professions, what can we do to be different? And I told you the idea, and then we start working on it. We started coming up with the concept art with Al Haney. and came up with the opening, and then like you said, the pandemic hit, and we were just kind of like in a holding pattern, waiting for because we were going to do it at Montco Community College, and I always liked the. I know he's controversial now, but back then, the Joe Rogan podcast, two guys sitting across from a table just talking. As like, go to Montco, they have a podcast studio. It'd be perfect for that. And maybe we could, if we filmed it for YouTube, we could do multiple cameras, edit it together, and put it out like a Rogan podcast. Again, the pandemic hit and Montco shut down, and you're like, hey man, I think we should just get the ball rolling. We're missing out on a lot of shit, And I agreed. I was like, yeah, but how do we do it? All I had was a laptop and a video game headset that I don't even know. A friend just gave it to me. I was like, well, this can go into my computer. I could do this. In those first episodes, I sounded fucking horrible. But we were doing what we could with what we had.
Yeah.
And then, I remembered I had the podcast equipment, the Zoom mic, which I learned how to plug into my laptop and all that stuff. And then through the course of doing the podcast and, becoming, those first couple episodes we did were like marathons. They're like 3 or 4 fucking hours. It was just like, wow.
It's two people just having a lot of fun together,
Yeah. And that's why I knew we had something there. We were just talking, and there's a chemistry. And then, as, the world, started to open up a little bit, we kind of had, responsibilities and, went being from 4 hours to maybe 3 hours to 2 hours. And here we are at a steady hour and a half, which is fine. But then, we evolved, and you took the initiative to do certain things that you're talking about how you couldn't do certain things about this podcast. I'm sure just as much there's certain things I wouldn't, be doing now if you hadn't taken certain initiatives like the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack, the Brother Gadders, Wrestle Buddies. You took that initiative to reach out to those folks, say, hey, we got a podcast. What do you think of this? And we came up, and if it wasn't for you reaching out to Cella, we wouldn't have had the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack, which now I'm going to have, a line with Cella with the BWO. And then I'm also doing a line with Cella with the bone crushing action figures.
Which we're going to have to talk about a little later in this episode because that's amazing. But
yeah, and I'm surprised I forgot that on the Christmas episode. But, we were in the flow of the conversation. That's the beauty of this podcast. I go, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. And we start talking, and it's like, I really should have like a dry erase board of like bullet points to hit, but we just start talking. You don't know where it goes. But you reached out to Cella, got us the action figures. You got us the Wrestle Buddies with Brother Scatter. Mad Cat Beer Care came through us doing this podcast. They reached out to you. You reached out to me. I reached out to them, and here we are, smelling good with our beards. And there's a lot of stuff. When it came to the video game, Mike Herman, it was supposed to be another guy, and that guy couldn't do it. I was like, hey, got the perfect guy right here hosting the podcast with me. Yep. And I was comfortable recommending you because I know I could trust you and do a good job and not, trust with the brand that you won't do anything to embarrass the brand, whether Mind of the Meanie or Retromania Wrestling, the video game, which, I have a fucking full fucking arcade system right next to me, and I think, and we're both on it. Yeah, it's a part of this, this podcast, through this podcast, we were able to do this show, do that, have the action figure, have the Wrestling Buddies. And, that's, because of your hard work and persistence. And
thank you.
And that goes all the way back to your, the FTW days. TWF.
I was going to say, when I taught Taz
how
to wrestle.
There's this movie that keeps coming to mind called Kidco. And it was about these kids who became entrepreneurs and became millionaires through, I forget what it was. It was Scotty Schwartz from The Christmas Story.
I did half of that. I was a kid who was an entrepreneur.
Yeah. But every time I hear about your entrepreneurial days, I think of that movie for some reason. Like Kidco.
I appreciate you saying that. It's like going back to the TWF days and stuff. I've always kind of had that that mindset of. I was talking with Matt Cardona a couple weeks ago about how his mindset of well, no one's gonna do it for me. I got to do it for myself. Right. And I've always had that mindset, and but I've also, more than that, when I looked at the idea of, Blue Meanie doing a podcast, and you had all these different ideas of how you wanted it to be unique from everything you just described. And I just looked at it and was like, this should be more. Blue Meanie is more than just a guy talking into a microphone. Brian Heffron is more than just a guy who played the Blue Meanie in wrestling. And I just tried to, and I hope that I did a good job of trying to figure out as best I could to help show everybody what I was getting to see up close every week when we were doing that show. That you guys remember the Blue Meanie character, but there's so much more deeper in there. There's so much more this character can be, like more action figures, a wrestling buddy, things. That character can be more. But then on the other side, it was that from all I knew instantly when you talked to me about doing the show, from having done the On the Ropes and having just hung out and talked to you at StarCast and things like that, I just knew, I was like, man, if other people, if we can get that, that honesty and that openness, there is so much there that people are going to go, wow, I didn't expect that from a Blue Meanie podcast, because they were so pigeonholed to the thought of a Blue Meanie podcast. What's it going to be? Oh, well, he'll just dance the whole time. You know what I mean? And then he hits a meanie salt at the end. Yeah. So he'll
get blown up.
Yeah. So I really saw that as, I won't say a challenge, because it really wasn't that challenging. I mean, people were excited to work with you and your brand, and but I saw it as kind of like a point of pride to be able to play any small role in when people look back at the overall, the complete picture of your career, to be able to have had just the tiniest hand in helping some of these things. So when I found out that you had this the bone crushing action figure, that you were going to be the first one, I was just like, that to me, that's amazing. That's so cool. We talked about, prior to even Cella being a thing, we talked about how you missed out on that opportunity and missed out on the ECW figures in that time period. So and look, I'm glad I was able to ride your coattails into my own action figures. So it worked out great for me, but I'm so happy.
Proud of you, man. I'm so proud for you.
Thank you. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing, I think, but again, like I said before, the best part of all of this it has just been the community, that we've been able to build here. Sorensen says that he believes I got the best of Meanie. I think so. And I think that's a testament to you, Meanie, that, we've had episodes that you have been so open and honest and raw, and people have been able to really get to know you and see a side of you that, going into it, we didn't know. I don't think you knew how much you would share. And when we talked about Owen Hart, being an example, you've talked about, difficulties you had, with your health as a child, we've talked about mental health things, bullying, stuff like that, family. And it's just, I just feel like I feel like I was able to be a part of something really special here. And, James Sorensen says, I hope you continue to help promote Mind of the Meanie on those bigger platforms. And without question, I'm very proud of the fact if someone wants to say Josh Shernoff from the Mind of the Meanie, I'm very proud of that. I will continue to promote it as best I can. I intend on, this is something Meanie and I hadn't even talked about, but I was going, I've got coming up this week on Fight, the 3rd annual Shernie Awards coming back. And I would love, and I mean, weird thing to bring up on air, but we might as well have there is that commercial of Meanie promoting his figure. I would like to be able to promote that as a commercial, on my show, and not charging anything for it. You know what I mean? I want it because I want to be able to continue to. I plan to continue to push Mind of the Meanie and push Meanie's figures and push all that stuff on any platform I have, because I mean, I've been allowed to on this platform push all of my other stuff for so long that I think has helped to get me to this point. And
that's the thing. You would come to me and be like, "Hey, can I mention this?" Abso-fucking-lutely. Why wouldn't I? Well, I mean, it's like I said, that's the key word. It's a community. Yep. And like say, if Mind of the Meanie was a planet. There's these little satellites that float around. So says Shernoff, Shernie Awards. And we try to do a lot of different things between like alternative commentary and stuff like that. But, there's things we tried and we had fun with. But a lot of times it felt like we were, maybe taking away too much from, the Pod Squad and we're doing a lot of stuff to try to get eyeballs on the product, but in a lot of ways, we wanted to dedicate more time to our hardcore Mind of the Meanie Pod Squad that, support us unconditionally each and every week that we're, fortunate to have,
And that was another part of it too, is like I talked about, my role in the Patreon stuff and I can't, if I can't be on top of it, making sure that the people who are paying money to us are getting everything that they deserve, then I can't be doing that because they deserve better than that. And, we're the patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie will continue. I know that Adam already has some great ideas for extra content. I will say one thing to James' point of, will I continue to promote on a larger platform? I will promise this. I will continue to promote if Meanie tells me that he's showing up places like AEW. Because if Meanie doesn't tell me, then I can't promote it. So, no, but I'm just very excited to see what's going to happen with the podcast moving forward. And a lot of podcasts, 92 episodes at this point. If this was the last one, it would be considered a success because so many of them end after, 2 months, 3 months. And that's not happening here. This is, there was, I don't want to have that that sound, that insincerity of The Rock where he would be like, this is, I'm home and I'm never leaving again. It's like, all right, we'll see you in 6 years. And I'm also not going to suggest that I am on the level of The Rock or as busy as The Rock or as successful as The Rock. But my point is, I get what he means by that. I get the idea of, as far as I'm concerned, when I go off to do whatever, I am very proud to still be, put over the Mind of the Meanie and the time that I've spent here. And I intend to be back. Like we said, I intend to be back. And look, when I inevitably get fired, from Fight, I will be back full time. I'll come crawling back.
Three-way dance. Three-way dance.
As soon as Fight starts looking, they go, well, we gave him some more responsibility, but it turns out he's not good at this. But no, I am very excited to see where this podcast is going to go. And this is stuff we will talk about off air, but it's important that everybody knows as well. Anything that I can ever do for this podcast, anything, if I'm working this show or whatever, and I see an opportunity for you and Adam to get a live stage show somewhere, I'll do everything in my power to make that stuff happen. And it's, I'm a firm believer.
You're still part of the family.
Yeah,
You're still part of the family.
Adam even asked me about, I think he's got me in the credits moving forward as like executive producer or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's something where you talk about putting your name to something. And that was important to me too, when you offered that, like, hey, would you like to have still be like a producer of it? Still like kind of, that meant a lot to me, but I also thought that was really important I remember when I stopped doing the podcast with Bill Apter, which was purely a scheduling thing. Just wasn't working out, wasn't getting the downloads we needed to rationalize the schedule. It wasn't, there wasn't enough money coming in, blah, 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 all that stuff. But instantly it was, oh, did you guys have a falling out? You guys have like, oh, do you still talk? And it's like, it's freaking Bill Apter. I love Bill Apter. The guy's he's family. Like let's, and that's why it was important to me to be able to have that opportunity to have my name still associated in like these credits or whatever Adam's going to be doing, to just be like, yeah, Josh had to go off and do something else. He doesn't have the time to be able to commit to producing these episodes, but Josh is very much still here supporting this show and believing in it. And yeah, I feel like I'm just becoming redundant at this point, but
no. It's look, it's like anybody I've worked with, or I'm not saying I help train you, but like there's people I consider my kids, whether it be an Ian Riccaboni, who I got into the Monster Factory, and then we went to the Monster Factory to do a project. He's part of Phillies Nation, which is a local show here on Comcast, Philly. He wanted to do something on wrestling. Sure, let's find a place. Let's find a Monster Factory. And through that, we did a thing with Danny Cage. I wound up me becoming a coach at the Monster Factory, which led to me helping coach and train Ian, with the stuff he does with play-by-play, which led to him working with Kevin Kelly through the Monster Factory, so on and so forth. He works for Ring of Honor. Now he's going to do some stuff with New Japan. And, that would be like me saying, oh, he grew opportunities out of the Monster Factory. It'd be something if we were like, no, you got to be strictly Monster Factory. Through this podcast, opportunities arose. And it would be selfish and cruel of me to go, what are you doing? You got to make a choice. It's this podcast or nothing. You want to be on Fight, one of the biggest platforms in professional wrestling? No, it's this fucking podcast, buddy. It's this. How dare you? After all I've done for you, you selfish son of a bitch. How fucking stupid would that be of me? It'd be like, if, I had Al trained me and I had a chance to go to ECW. No, you got to work the students' shows. Get the fuck out of here.
And no, I do think, you said you didn't train me, but I think much like how I always said, my training with Al came from sitting next to him and listening to him. And in a lot of ways, I feel like just the conversations with you've trained me more in understanding the wrestling business. Look, my job on Fight, one of my roles there is an on-air personality, and you get good at anything by getting your reps in.
Yeah.
And I've had, 90 episodes of getting my reps in, of talking to an audience, of interacting, of doing. When I go and interview somebody, I have the history and the education of interviewing you behind me now. There's a lot, I consider, the stories I've heard from you, the things that I've learned from you, just the friendship that we've been able to have here, and in a way, I do consider it a mentorship, and not just because you're just so much older than me, but because, of your experience level. I want to make sure I got at least one of those in before I go.
Son of a bitch. Oh, that's the wrong button.
Go Eagles. There we go.
Yeah.
Go Birds. No, I'm very grateful for everything, and I don't want to just keep beating a dead horse with it, and our listeners are like, all right, we get it. He's grateful, but no, I'm
all right, suck his dick already.
Yeah,
Jesus
seriously.
Christ.
But
get a room.
One thing that I'm gonna miss though is the ability to just like let these go at random times. I feel like I just want to kind of like.
This is the MLW World Order. Never stops.
There we go. That's got them all at once.
Yeah, that's another thing. We developed a partnership with Rode.
Yes, Jason Turnbull, who's a Patreon member and just a fan of our show. And I'm like, hey, man, we would love to kind of do something with Rode. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, no, I love your show. It's like, what? Like, that was what I thought. I was like, what? You how? And he's just created this relationship between us and Rode that has been amazing. That took,
very fortunate. Very fortunate.
And Rode, with Jason's help, Rode has sent a Rodecaster and microphone to Adam to continue the quality and make sure that the show continues.
We're all on the same page.
Yep. And I sent the assets, as they're called, over to Adam. So Adam has all your farts, all your, he's got everything.
Literal assets.
Yes, I've got your assets right here. James, I'll miss the Josh ribbing me on Bischoff. Well, that's fine, man.
It's not a rib.
First of all, it's not a rib.
It's not a rib.
No, I'll just if you want, I'll slide into your DMs and just give you shit every couple of weeks. Be like, hey James, how's it going with your buddy Bischoff? You son of a bitch. And then you just won't hear from me for 3 more weeks, and then I'll just come back again with it.
Somehow it came up. Joel Gertner posted the video. It was like the anniversary of when the BWO made Joel Gertner our bish. And
Yeah.
Your bish. You want me to be your bish? Not dish, bish.
Yeah, that's another one. The opportunity to do That Was Extreme on ad-free shows.
Yeah, which I keep getting asked about, which is flattering.
Which I'll full disclosure on that. I part of my deal with Fight involves bringing back So Says Shernoff once a month, and there's been talk of Talking with Friends thing once a month, but Talking with Friends, I sit down for like an hour with my friends and talk. There is no prep work. There's no any. I mean, it is easy as can be.
It's organic.
Yeah. So Says Shernoff takes a little bit more time, but again, it's one of those things where when it's a job and it is what it is. It's part of my deal there, and I'm excited to be. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited to be back doing that. Mind of the Meanie is a weekly thing that involves a lot of work before and after we hit record. The fun part with that is no work is this. This is not work at all. This is a blast. Yeah. This is just just us having a really good time. It's all the other stuff around it. But yeah, it's That Was Extreme was a great opportunity with ad-free shows. And
which they just put a bunch of those up on their YouTube.
Oh yeah? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, the video version and the after parties.
Oh shit! On their YouTube?
Yeah, so I don't know if they can be monetized.
I'm getting fired from Fight. Oh man. I thought these things were set in confidence, ad-free shows. But no, Those were so much fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The opportunity for us to expand, like you said, we had Mind of the Meanie and we expanded upon it with that was extreme. And being able to do that with Joel was, God, being able to work with you and Joel was a dream come true. That was insane. Like you go back to
It was easy.
high school aged me and like, you say, oh yeah, you get to do a show talking about ECW with the Blue Meanie and Joel Gertner. My freaking head would have exploded. Like,
Yeah.
That's it. We all reach that point where we're in the business and we don't want to be perceived as marks, but like, I was an absolute mark for ECW for you guys. I loved it. When we've talked about this before in the TWF, we had Sassy Mike Malassie was a character that was a hybrid between three things: the real life Mike Green, who was one of my best friends, the Blue Meanie, and Joel Gertner. That was literally how we described it of what the character we wanted it to be. And then I got to sit there. The only thing I never got to have was an episode of me, you, Joel, and Mike coming on there. And so I could just see, the three of you all together just forming this real life Sassy Mike Malassie. But it's so, to me, to be able to work with you guys and become friends with you guys is just, it blows my mind. But like James, there's things, I hope that I'm going to be able to continue to work with ad-free shows occasionally. I just did the thing with Al Snow, which was a lot of fun to do. And they know I'm open if our schedules work and everything, they know that I'm open to that. And I hope that all of you guys will continue to follow me along to Sosa Shernoff and to the Shernie Awards.
Absolutely.
I hope you'll continue to support me on that. This might not be my last interaction with a Patreon. There's been talk about that. It would look very different than this type of Patreon because the nature of it, where there's no live watch-alongs, there's no things like that. There's opportunities for things like that to continue for significantly less money, James. There's opportunities down the line that I hope I can do things like that where I can, because that's the one thing, like, again, that I'm really going to miss is being able to interact with the Pod Squad in that same way. So hopefully we'll be able to have some ways that we can do that that are free as well, where you don't have to pay to hang out with me. So, yeah. So I hope you're open enough to host episodes of 83 weeks, he says. I don't think that's a issue of my schedule as much as not being invited to host 83 weeks. So I'm sure I can try and carve some
Can't
time
just
out.
show up and go, hey, Eric, let's go.
Yeah, but I will say part of my deal, full disclosure, part of my deal with Fight is, look, I'm Meanie talked about representing a brand, and being on Mind of the Meanie, I'm representing the Blue Meanie. I'm representing this show. With Fight, I mean, for them to give me an action figure with their brand on it, they have allowed me. I'm not even entirely sure that they knew it was happening when it was happening, but I was becoming the face of Fight, and they gave me that opportunity. So part of the deal, they know that I want to be able to pop back in for this, that, and the other, and they've been very much, hey, if you've got time to do Mind of the Meanie, go have some fun, go do it. There's never, so that's one thing. There's not going to be like, well, Josh is a Fight now, he can't ever stop by again. I will be back. I will come by. And then at that moment you will go, we didn't really miss him. We didn't miss him. we could do without him. But anyway, hey, you know what? For anyone who's still listening to this episode, do you think we should do some Ask Meanie?
I would love to.
Let's do it. For the final time.
It's time to ask me anything. Ask me something.
All right. Get a little extra, little stank on that. But we did have some great questions came in. Tons of great questions. So let's get started with Ringside Rant Fantasy book yourself, Josh and Adam as 6-man champions. Who are you facing and why? Oh, before we get started on that, let's go old school here.
Yes.
I've got a Wegmans brand raspberry seltzer.
Yes, sir.
Seltzer might be the thing. Honestly, this might be, when my career is said and done, all I'll have left to show for it is my love of seltzer that came from the mind of the meanie.
It is a tasty drink. It, you get the fizz of the soda without all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I have an ugly orange soda, which I'm showing to our pod squad on the Patreon. That's another thing that came out of the pod squad or
ugly,
the podcast.
yeah. I don't think ugly.
I
don't think ugly even appreciates the business that we've given them. So, all right, let's do it.
I'm going to salmon it on 3, 2, 1. To you, Josh.
To you, meanie. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Hopefully, they sneak in the back door to the playoffs. We shall see.
We shall see. Let's not.
Well, dude, they're playing fucking what? A little inside baseball. I know the game already happened, so whatever I say might sound foolishness. But they're playing the Washington Redskins this Sunday, and 27 of the Redskins are on the COVID list.
Yeah.
And they just announced this morning their quarterback is on the COVID list.
Oh, jeez.
27 out of 32. They might have to forfeit the game, which, yay for the Eagles, but
yeah,
it might be one of the first times NFL's like, no more rescheduling if you can't make it because
you have the fans playing.
Dude, it might be like the NFL strike back in the day when they had people crossing the line, the scabs.
Yep. So speaking of scabs, you get to fantasy book you, me, and Adam as 6-man champions. Who are we facing, and why?
We would get fucking squashed by ad-free shows.
We're facing Angle. And, Brother Love.
Conrad dressed as
Hakeem.
Hakeem, yeah. Yeah. Oh, we do the job to them wholeheartedly. Yeah. That's good exposure right there, pal. With JR on commentary.
Oh, man. JR and Tony can be on commentary. They can.
That was cool, man. When I did the thing for AEW, and Tony Schiavone called it. The call with Mark Henry and Big Show. I sent him a little message like, dude, you just made my career. That was a bucket list moment.
Yeah, to hear his voice say the Blue Meanie.
Never in a million years. I've been in my career. I've had Joey Styles, Jim Ross, Lance Russell, and Kevin Kelly, Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon, yep.
It counts. Gorilla Monsoon, and then now Tony Schiavone, Larry Zbyszko,
Jim Ross. You say Jim Ross?
Jim Ross, Larry Zbyszko. John Cena called one of my matches.
Wow.
When he was the prototype in UPW, I was wrestling for the Internet Championship, and there's a VHS out there of a UPW show where I wrestle the Renegade. I think it was the Renegade for the Internet, and John Cena did play-by-play on my match. So kind of cool.
One person not on that list that I'd like to see on that list is myself, selfishly.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm, and I feel like it'll happen eventually. It'll happen eventually, and I will. You want to talk about
it has
having a platform to put over mine to the meanie?
Yeah.
Just, Blue Meanie from Mind of the Meanie podcast, off the ropes. And, a clothesline by the Blue Meanie from the Mind of the Meanie podcast.
Even if it's you running down the ringside with a megaphone just to call out what we're doing live to a crowd.
Oh, man. Here's a question from Jeremy Burge, at Burge Jeremy. Did you ever meet up with the toy company Original San Francisco Toy Makers about making a figure when you were in ECW? So we've talked about how you were ships in the night, but I thought that question would be a great opportunity to just really go into this bone-crushing figure.
Yeah.
It looks so freaking good.
Yeah, I got some, you know what?
Do it.
Since,
Patreon.
We're on the Patreon. And this is another reason why you should join the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sneak peek. Let me see. Where did you go? Okay. So for the Patreon at home, here's what it looks like.
Oh, man. I'm going to need you to go ahead and send that to me as a text, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There's that. There's
that looks so good. Holy shit.
Yep.
Meanie. Dude, let me put it this way. If you were excited over that little teaser video that Meanie had, which showed the artwork, if you were excited over that, if you are a fan of the old Bone Crunchers, and you were excited over that artwork does not do what the Blue Meanie just showed us justice.
Yeah.
As great as that you saw that artwork, you saw it next to the Gold Dust, Bone Cruncher.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I can see it. Dude, what you just showed me there, holy crap. Please text those over to me so I can see them more clearly.
I will.
Oh man.
I'll share them with the Pod Squad as well.
Yeah. Oh dude, that's but yeah, Pod Squad, but keep it between Pod Squad.
Yes.
Don't share with anybody else.
It's like Fight Club. It's like Fight Club, but we talk about it, but we don't tell them what we talk about.
Exactly. Oh, dude, I'm so happy for you. That looks legitimately like Blue Meanie got a figure back in 1999.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh.
All because of you and this podcast, man.
I think your career had a little bit to do with it. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called in the cello. I said, listen, there's this guy. He's more or less an indie worker. But if you could just throw him a bone, paints his face and stuff, I don't know, just give him Meanie something. And they're like, fine. For you, Josh, we'll just keep spending money and making more and more of his figures just out of a favor to you. Not
Huge
because
investment.
they sell out, not because people are losing their minds going crazy over it, but no. Dude, I'm so excited for you. That figure looks so...
Your reaction was worth it. To spill the beans a little bit and show it to you and our folks here on the Patreon.
Thank you for doing that. I am so pumped for that. And then, my mind, because nothing's ever good enough, I instantly start thinking about the repaints. I instantly start thinking about how many of these are there going to be. And and we've talked about this so many times before on the show that you have that opportunity to have so many because of all the different shirt designs. But I love that because even the picture in your commercial, the one of you and Gold Dust there, getting into the ring, that's the shirt you're wearing.
Yes.
The Blue Meanie logo on either side. It's man, this is exciting.
The term is toyetic.
Toyetic AF, I believe.
So, I have a one figure toy figure.
Mm-hmm.
I did. The Mind of Me 2-pack. Going to do the BWO through Cella. Bone Crushing through Cella. And then, I don't even know if I got a second Figures Toy Company figure coming out down the line, but they take 2 years per figure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But dude, and then you even have a micro brawler, which I feel like just gets forgotten.
I was about
because you got so many damn
say,
figures now.
I was going to say, does that technically count as a figure? Because can I put that in there?
I think it depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at it from like an action figure standpoint, I guess technically no. But I consider that like a
figures is short for figurine.
Yeah.
It's a figurine, man.
Yeah. I think, look,
I
it
still
is
have a
a
few of
molded depiction of you, right? So I think it
Yes.
counts. I think it counts.
And they were supposed to do like a second one, which they haven't done yet.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
But no, man, that looks so good. I am so excited for that. And it's going to be prominently displayed.
Very fortunate.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that. And you put it next to my retro figure, and it'll finally be in scale, height wise. So
yeah. That's too funny.
it'll be good.
I got our mine and Meanie.
Yeah.
Right over my shoulder.
I see it there. We've got over here. You can't. It's cut off, but it's in there. So I actually split us up. I have me up there with the I'm up there with like the retro figures, and I have you front and center. You're the front one of like on my shelf of the people I've worked with.
Very cool.
So, but as soon as this next one comes out, I'm going to bump you back up to the retro, and then I'm going to put your bone crusher right there with the people I work with, because I've got other bone crunchers from back in the day. Yeah. So I'll put it all in there. And, oh, man. Dude, I'm excited.
It's the brilliance of Cella Toys.
They're doing an amazing job.
Well, and then did you see that Toy Fair magazine somebody
yes.
scanned? And
how cool is that?
That's from like 1999. And I had it, and I lost that magazine, and somebody scanned it and put it up. I was like, oh, man, this is amazing. Because I felt like I was telling a story that was a lie. Yeah, I was the number 4 on fantasy wish list for action figures. And they're like, yeah.
Let's see if I can find where because you had retweeted it. There it is. So yeah, so number 10 was Meat. I don't feel like Cella's rushing to make him.
No.
Number 9 was The Godfather. Yes. Which I always found kind of, and I didn't read the thing here. So he actually did have a bone cruncher, but it was the Nation, Mustafa. So pre-turning into The Godfather. The Hardy Boys. I mean, because their first figures were Titantron Live is what they called them.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, the Bone Crunchers.
That's good knowledge right there.
Oh, I know my stuff. Sexual Chocolate. Again, Mark Henry had a Nation figure, but didn't have the Sexual Chocolate figure. The Acolytes actually got made. I think Matt Cardona has the resin prototypes. The Acolytes were actually, that's where they were, and then they dropped the line. Chris Jericho, yeah, he came a little too late. And man, Chris Jericho, number 5. Number 4, the Blue Meanie.
Insane.
Number 3, China.
Yes.
Because China also never had. She came in the Too Tough 2-pack with Triple H, but she was not a bone cruncher. She was just like hard plastic. The Mean Street Posse, which I gotta be honest with you, I would love to see at least Pete Gas.
How they never made that.
They were too busy making 1,000 Stone Cold figures. And then number 1, Gilbert, which I would love to see that as well.
Cella.
Come on, Cella, do it.
I'm sure they can't call him Gilbert, but, you know.
Logan Barton, hey, Logan, says, would love to have a blue face paint, short hair, flame boots era Meanie figure. I agree. And that's what I'm talking about, repaints. Yeah, your boots, they're right there.
The flame boots.
Let's see if I can do this for the, hold on.
There you go.
Get there. There they are. See them right up there next to Al Snow's head.
And top of my Zebra Kid trunks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got an ECW hat I want to put on that head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some unauthorized ECW. Talk about repaints, retreads.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What other questions? Did we ask any questions yet? Let's see.
We talked about jobbing to the ad-free guys.
Oh yeah, and then the action figure. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, okay. Well, no, we read that one. Did you ever get an offer to join WCW? We've addressed that before.
Yeah, I was an idiot. I was fucking stupid and didn't go. Because if I had gone, then I could say, technically, I've worked for every modern major promotion.
Here's Mark and Dryden. What are Josh and Meanie's favorite Christmas movies? And have either of you ever seen a made-for-TV movie called Christmas on Division Street? I would never recommend it. If you have seen it, ignore this. But if not, here's a short summary. Fred Savage is a spoiled rich kid who befriends a homeless man. The last scene, Fred goes to find him to give him a Christmas gift and finds him frozen and, of course, starts bawling. Way too heavy a subject. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to see it. As a kid, I think my favorite Christmas movie would have had to have been like Home Alone or something.
Yeah.
I think. But
For me, it was, typical Christmas Story. Because I was maybe like 9 or 10 when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in my age range, maybe. And then, like I was saying, there's a new Christmas movie just came out called 8-Bit Christmas with Neil Patrick Harris playing a father with his daughter. And it's basically him retelling tales of his childhood. And they flash back to the 80s. So it's like a Christmas Story, but, flash back to the 80s instead of, the guy who narrated A Christmas Story telling Christmas tales of his childhood. Right. Those are probably my two favorites. Every year we watch Jingle All the Way. We watch Santa with Muscles because, why not? But, if I had to pick one, it's A Christmas Story. I know people like to hate on it now, but still one of my favorites. It's comfort food.
Yeah. And that's what the holidays are all about. And also something else the holidays are all about. All about clean balls, Meanie.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, fellas, this episode of Mind of the Meanie is brought to you by our favorite producers, Ball Trimmers, Manscaped. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming are leaving 2021. That's this week. That's it. This is it. This is our last week of 2021. They are getting the F out, and they are telling you to get your balls clean on the way out. I don't know. I lost my spot here. Clean yourself into the new year with their ultra-premium body wash. Also, special offer alert. Use code Meanie20, save 20% plus free shipping at manscaped.com. 4 million men already trust Manscaped. It's time for you to join them. 2022 is on its way, and the last thing you want is to be the guy with pubes getting in your way of making this year your best yet. I mean, I think everybody has had a bad year like that, where you're like, this is it, January 1st. It's a new year. Yes, it is. But, oh, wait, I didn't trim my balls. Hey, we all know about the Lawnmower 4.0. Fourth generation trimmer, features cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, and it's even waterproof. This tool is amazing, and I'm confident using 4.0 to leave 2021 and my gross pubes with it. You know what else I'm confident about? Smelling like $1,000,000. You may be asking yourself how I'm How, Haney? And I'm happy you did. I use Manscaped Refined Cologne with the same signature scent that's in all Manscaped formulas. A great compliment to your collection. Let's talk about people. All right, feeling and smelling good. The new Ultra Premium Body Wash from Manscaped solves all three for the perfect addition to your daily grooming routine. But in the shower, I shower every day. I hope you do too, Meanie.
Occasionally.
All right, this body wash is infused with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean, nice, and moisturized. With Manscaped, you'll be a brand new man ready to kick off all that gross hair and smell when you kick off the new year. Go! Use the promo code MEANIE20, 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped.com. Use promo code MEANIE20. Happy New Year to your balls. Happy New Year to all of you. And looks like it's getting to be that time.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Should we bring Al in for this last you know what? Let's do it.
Okay.
So it looks like Al left a note. He has left the green room.
What?
Could somebody come get me? So I guess, Meanie, maybe that's what I should do.
He found the door?
Maybe before I leave, I should go off into the green room and go get Al. And that way, I'll, without question, be back next week because, of course, Al will be on the show. So I'll just go run real quickly when we finish up this episode and go get Al Snow out of the green room.
Yes.
And then just come right on back to Mind of the Meanie. What could possibly go wrong? You'll just you just remember to bring me and Al back in.
Yes.
And there's no way that you could forget.
No.
And then you'll have Adam here in the meantime. You guys will, of course, remember to do that. So I'll go get Al.
It's not like Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Where they could have sent out a search party and bring him back.
You'll
we
find
will
me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will find you, and you'll be well fed.
Yeah.
And ready to go.
Yeah, I'll be ready. I'll be ready and waiting. Anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap things up? This is the last one of the year. This is my last one as the tour guide. I think we beat that dead horse, but this is the last one of our year here, 2021.
Hey, last one of the year. It's been an eventful year, ups, downs, otherwise. Here's to a hopefully a better 2022. But 2020, 2021 would be nothing without the support of the Pod Squad. Whether you download it every Monday morning, whether you subscribe and watch live as we do it on Patreon at patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. I am forever grateful. I'm thankful and grateful for the Pod Squad. I'm grateful for you, Josh. And hopefully, I'm sure our paths will cross again. And I'm sure you'll definitely be back. Like I said, you'll be in the green room. Yeah. So
I'll be waiting.
Thank you for everything you've done. And just as you know, I support you during this. I'll support you in all your other endeavors.
Thank you. And likewise, and I won't go into a whole mushy thing like I did for the first hour of this episode. But thank you, everybody, so much. This has been the absolute highlight of my entire involvement in the wrestling business. It's been the highlight of my week, every single week for almost 2 years. Like I mentioned before, ups and downs, like Meanie had said this year. And the year before, I had ups and downs. But one thing I was always able to count on was that if I was coming to Mind of the Meanie, we were going to have a lot of fun. We were going to have a good time. It's a great group of people, a great community. If you're just tuning in for the first time because you really wanted to hear me, then I have terrible news. But if you're tuning in for the first time, or you're still thinking about, should I pull the trigger on the Pod Squad and joining Patreon? Do it. I can now officially say at this point, I get no money from any future Patreon members. So, I'm not saying this to line my own pockets here. I truly believe being a part of this community is worth it. It's a great, great group of people, unique people from all different walks of life who come together for our love of pro wrestling, our love of treating each other well. And I thank you. I see, people who are writing from our Patreon group. I thank you guys very, very much. And do not miss me too much, because if you do miss me, just know that I am right there with you, listening to the show as a fan each and every Monday, as Meanie and Adam take another trip into the mind of the Meanie. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Josh.
The world of MLW radio never stops.